Can anything good come out of China? I'm serious. You see, when I was growing up, I was taught that if a product said Swiss made, or made in Germany, or even more so, made in Japan, it was of top repute and quality. And that still stands today. However, anything that was made in China was a throwaway. It was cheaply made, unreliable, and it didn't last the test of time. But is that still true today? Let's find out. This particular watch is from Merkur. It's a Chinese brand, and it's basically the Big Eye chronograph, and very vintage inspired, very military inspired. And you know what? There's a stigma. There's a way, even myself personally, how I've thought over the years regarding anything made in China. It's cheap, it's inexpensive, it's throwaway. Don't expect too much from it. But you know what? After this viewer contacted me, I thought I'm going to get one on the channel. I'm going to get one to not only for your sake, but for my sake. And these particular watches coming out of China, I thought, well, what's so good about them? I know they've got a rich history. I know China wanted to create a chronograph, a mechanical chronograph for the use in the Air Force aviators, so they ended up purchasing the Venus, the 175 caliber, all the tools for that, and they basically created their own ST19. It's more or less a clone of the Venus 175 caliber. And how good can it be? Because the price of these things coming in at around 250 bucks is ridiculous. How good a watch can you get? And you know what? Very interesting observations, because the watch quality itself, the build quality on this it's really well made for the money you're outlaying, and the fact that it's got a mechanical column wheel chronograph is amazing. It's great. Now, how reliable is that chronograph? Well, that's to be seen, and I'll share my thoughts on that because I've had a few observations throughout the week. But first and foremost, this particular watch, it's a Merkur. It's been sent out to the channel. I don't have to pay for it. We don't have to send it back, so it's not going to influence my review. I'll tell you straight out exactly what I think of this. I'll quickly show you guys the packaging. There you go, Merkur. That's what it came in. And there's a couple of different variations of this particular watch. Let me show you this. It comes, well, basically it comes on a stainless steel strap or on a leather strap, but it also comes in two different dial variations. It comes in a light grey, more modern sort of a feel like this, or a dark black. So I opted for the light grey. I said, look, send it out, let me have a look at this thing. I really want to get my hands on with one of these Chinese watches to see how good they are. And on initial observations and throughout the week, I tell you what, this particular bracelet it's been really, really good. I really can't, I'll be straight up honest with you guys. A bracelet like this, it's a lot better quality than what you're getting from a Seiko from about $700 or $800 down. So anything under 800 bucks in Seiko, this thing here is better. It's push pin, it's solid links, solid end links. It's got a fantastic milled clasp, locks in, flip lock, and 3 micro adjustments, but comfortable, built well. Yeah, I really can't fault it. So the quality of this is no different to Seiko, anything under 800 bucks. That's a big plus. As far as the watch head itself and the leather strap as well has been great. This strap has been super comfortable, genuine leather. It smells great, it feels great. So I really can't fault it as far as how it's been performing. But we're not here for the straps, we're not here for these, we're here for this watch. I think the stuff coming out of China is very, very interesting, and interesting for a reason. Now, a lot of the watch collectors and enthusiasts that I speak to, a lot of people say they want to buy themselves an Omega Speedmaster. They want to buy themselves a mechanical chronograph of sorts. And you know what? I honestly recommend you buy something like this before you even look at a Speedmaster. And the reason I say that is because, look, ironically, the first watch that I ever purchased for myself when I first started out in this hobby was an Omega Speedmaster. And I loved it. I loved the fact that a mechanical, it's a chronograph. Yeah, I loved everything about it. With my engineering background, for me, it just made sense. But there's a lot of guys that I see, they purchase a Speedmaster, they purchase a mechanical chronograph of sorts, and they hate it. They hate it, and they end up flipping it. They end up, losing some money, or learning a lesson that they outlay all this money and yet not getting satisfied. And I think this is where a watch like this comes into play. It's a particular price point at $250 or $270 or so with a bracelet. It's good value for money to be able to get into a watch, try it out, see if it suits your lifestyle, see if it suits you as a hobbyist, as an enthusiast. And if it doesn't, nothing ventured, nothing gained. You've spent $250. It's not a great deal of money, but you're getting into a mechanical column wheel chronograph, which I think is ideal. Now, the dimensions of this watch are quite interesting because the case diameter is 38 millimeters. The case height comes in at 14.5 mil, yet that crystal comes in at 4.4. So ideally, the watch is about 10.1 mil high, which is really, really nice. The lug to lug distance I measure at 46.5 and the lug width of 18 mil. So a really nicely spec'd watch. The weight spec'd out like this comes in at 62 grams, and that crown is a 6.8 millimeter crown, which is lovely for a manual winding experience. So that's really cool. I'll show you guys a wrist shot to see what it looks like. Now, coming in at these particular specifications, it doesn't matter whether I wear this watch on a leather strap or on a stainless steel bracelet, it fits great on the wrist. I've got an 18 centimeter wrist and it sits beautifully. As you can see, the majority of the height in that crystal it's an acrylic crystal. It's pretty much hidden, but it adds to its vintage hue, its vintage appeal. I quite like that. The height is quite nice. Like I said, coming in at about 10 mil, 14.5 if you include that crystal. And overall wearing experience has been, especially on the leather strap, it's been sublime. At 62 grams, fantastic. And you know what? I'm saying it as it is. This is Chinese, and yet the experience has been sublime on the wrist. Now, as we mentioned before, the watch features an ST19 mechanical chronograph, and one of my gripes with this, as you can see, it's a closed case back, and that's a damn shame because it'd be great as an enthusiast, as someone starting out and wanting to get into a mechanical chronograph, it'd be great to buy this and even observe its mechanics. It's not dressed to top Swiss standards, but it is a mechanical chronograph nonetheless, and it's great to be able to enjoy it and visually take something away from this particular watch. But this one features a closed case back, as you can see. I've taken the case back off, and inside, as you can see, that ST19, it's a reliable movement. Even from the stuff that I've read over the years, they're a robust, reliable movement. And on the time grapher, this one seems to be producing quite healthy results, very stable, operating as intended, no problems. Now let's have a look at the mechanics of the watch. As you can see, we've got a 6.8 millimeter crown. We pull it out, it's a push-pull crown. We can adjust the time to wherever we want. There you go. Lock that in. There's no hacking feature. I've pulled it out again. As you can see, we've got the running seconds on the subdial at the 9. That still runs. And we've got another big eye, or a bigger subdial here on the 3 o'clock, and that basically counts up in 30-minute increments. So 1 minute sections all the way up to 30 minutes. Let's start that again. So the chronograph itself, as you can see, the twin pushers, a very nice, reassuring, very comforting snap as it starts the chronograph. Again, a very nice snap as it stops that chronograph. The reset, straight back to 0, spot on, lines up absolutely perfectly. I've actually examined it under macro, and it's ideal. But the only observation that I've had from this, the snap that you get from the chronograph when you start it is really pleasing. It's so satisfying, very nice. But the reset itself, not so much. It's more of it's very soft, and it feels a little bit manufactured as compared to mechanical. That's the best word I can describe it. Now, the crystal on this is an acrylic crystal. It's very, very high. It's I measure 4.4 millimeters from the actual bezel all the way up. I tell you what, it softens that dial, and it gives a nice vintage hue. It's quite nice to the feel, but it is something that needs to be babied. Being acrylic, you're obviously going to get scratches and so forth on this. That's something that you need to bear in mind. But again, bringing back to the Omega Speedmaster, the older versions all featured acrylic, and that was one of their appeal and a draw card towards those particular watches. Now, the leather strap on this particular watch that's been supplied is quite nice. It's been very comfortable straight off the bat from the minute I put it on. Nice stitching. It seems to have been wearing really well. No complaints whatsoever. And like I said, the steel bracelet, again, very, very nicely made. So I think, you know, surprising, because I'm looking at the case finishing and the solid build quality of this watch. You know, you've got high polish, radial brushing on the top of the lugs, designed nicely. There's not much to talk about badly in regards to its quality and its feel. It's good. It's really good. There are shortcuts that have been taken in this watch, and I can share that with you, and I'll put those down as my negatives. And first and foremost, if you look at that sweeping hand, okay, the movement itself is an ST19, so it's basically, you know, running at 21,600 vibrations per hour. But that sweeping hand itself, it's inconsistent. I'm finding inconsistent smoothness. Sometimes it seems to be nice and smooth, and then it seems to sort of, I won't say stop, but delay and then go and then start, and it's not as smooth as I expected. So that's an observation I've had throughout the week. Number two, that exhibition case back, well, there is none. It would have been great to have one on this. It would have been great to view that movement, so I put that down as a negative. However, being a vintage military inspired look, you know, with your military logo there, your triangle at the top, it's a pilot's watch. I think it fits that aesthetic, but yeah, it would have been great as enthusiasts coming into a hobby and wanting to buy a mechanical chronograph to be able to view that, just for something to look at. The loom is consistent all the way around, as you can see, but it does not last that long. And to be honest, look, at $249, I didn't expect too much, but it does work. It does work, and it works well. And probably my last gripe of this watch is probably that subdial, the subdial at the 3 o'clock, the big eye. Looking at the size of it, it's quite nice. I like the fact that it's asymmetrical. It seems to create that you know, big eye chronograph, which is nice. But the actual needle, the hand itself, should have been longer. Because when I stop the chronograph and I'm looking at to where it actually should be, is it 1, 2, is it 3 minutes, is it, I don't know. You're sort of double guessing. Whereas if it sort of extended out to the actual markers themselves, it would have been nice. That's another gripe. But apart from that, look, for this sort of price point, I think the watch is quite good. The positives, that crown is fantastic. It's 6.8 millimeters, really nice to wind. Yeah, it's fantastic as a manual winding experience, so I've enjoyed that. The dimensions of the watch, I think the fact that it's 38 mil, pretty much about a 10 mil watch. It sits great on the wrist, really nice. The finishing, yeah, the radial brushing, the polish, I think they've done really well. It's a Chinese watch, guys, and I didn't expect much. I honestly came into this review not expecting anything, and I'm pleasantly surprised of the quality for the money outlaid. In fact, you'd buy a watch like this and you'd probably, you know, when it comes time to servicing a movement, you know, being a mechanical chronograph, when it comes time to servicing this in 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you probably wouldn't. You probably wouldn't, because you consider the cost in servicing a column wheel chronograph. It's probably cheaper to just replace the movement. It is what it is, guys, unless of course you know how to service it yourself. But getting on to the last positives, legibility. Being a light grey dial, I've thought I'm going to have some legibility issues with this. There's been zero legibility issues, guys, both indoors and outdoors. Sunlight, subdued light, it's been really good. It's been really good. But like I said, they offer the black dial as well as this grey dial. I opted for the grey because it was something different, but it works. It seems to work. And probably the last positive of this watch is that acrylic crystal. And I know I'm going to cop a bit of flack. Many people like sapphire crystals or even mineral glass, hardened mineral glass. I don't mind acrylic crystals on a watch that's trying to create a vintage appeal. I think it suits its character, so that's me. But like I said, guys, if you're interested in getting a Mega Speedmaster or something, a mechanical, a Longines, something, a mechanical chronograph that you want to outlay some money, rather than putting the money, because I've seen so many people do that. They don't like the chronograph, they don't like the manual winding experience, any of that, and they decide to flip the watch and potentially lose some money. Get yourself one of these. Get yourself one of these. I think they're a really cool alternative. They've also given me a discount code for this particular watch. I'll leave those links in the description. You know, something to look at, guys. It really is a no-brainer for its build quality, which pleasantly has surprised me. It really has. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Let me know what you've had experience with Chinese watches. This particular one here, it's a Merkur, it's the Big Eye chronograph. Very impressed for the money outlaid. Quality as per dollar spent. I think you really can't go wrong. So let me know your thoughts, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your holidays. All the best to all of you, and we'll see you all in the next video.